Hi everybody, my name is Riley Stewart, and over the past couple of weeks a lot of events have happened that have really made me think a lot about who I am and the journey that I've taken to get here. One thing that I want to do is apologize, I guess, to myself and to a lot of people that know me for, I guess, being too complacent. I think that I have become very comfortable with who I am and very comfortable in the world that I occupy. And I sometimes forget that there are people out there who really have to struggle and who really go through a lot to try to assert their individuality. And it's because of their stories and a lot of the events, like I said, that I've heard of over the last couple of weeks. It's because of all that that I feel that I have to make this message. I feel I'm compelled to make this message. So this is my It Gets Better message to the world. I am 47 years old. I will soon be 48 years old, and the journey that I have taken has not been an easy one at all. I was in school in the 70s, which was a very brutal time. It was a time of extreme conformity. It was a time when there wasn't a lot of room for individuality. And I pulled this yearbook out of the archives to take a look at it, and a lot of memories came back to me about what it was like being in high school and middle school in the 1970s. And around, I guess, 1975 or so, I really started to realize that there was something a little bit different about me. I really didn't have much of an affinity for sports. I wasn't academically that good either. I was a very withdrawn, bookish kind of guy. I read a lot of Hardy Boys and science fiction. I listened to the radio continually, but I didn't have a lot of friends. When you're young, I find when you're 6 or 7 or 8 years old, it's very easy to make friends because we're all just in one big melting pot. And I don't think really little kids are that cognizant of the differences between themselves. But then as we get older, we start to realize, I guess, more and more the differences between each other, and sometimes we just can't accept or digest them. So anyway, around 1975, I started to sort of become really remote from the world. And I lived in a home environment that didn't really tolerate individuality or difference either. I lived with a very cruel mother who wanted me to be academically excellent and who wanted me to be the big, success in sports and success in everything I approached, and that just wasn't in the cards for me. Or it wasn't in the cards for me the way she thought that it should happen. So anyway, in the 70s, I was that crazy, weird kid with the hair and the glasses who kind of kept to himself. And of course, that made me the punching bag of the school. It started in probably about 1976 or so, and it got worse and worse and worse. And I really didn't have a voice. I didn't know who I was. I couldn't stand up for myself. And this yearbook that I pulled out was probably the worst year of my life. It was 1978. The school was Lester B. Pearson School in Ottawa. I just had moved back from Boston, back to Canada. And I was tormented by a group of boys so mercilessly that I had to take my lunch money and use it to take public transportation because I was terrified of taking the school bus to school. At one point I had urine thrown at me in the change rooms at the school gym, and I was just pursued relentlessly by these boys, and I sought help in school and there was no help to be had. I mean, if they saw somebody beating somebody like me up in the school hallways, they'd separate us and say, okay, break it up or take this outside or whatever, but they would never try to find what was the actual cause of the situation. And both parties were usually to blame. This kind of torment just went on and on and on through basically my whole career in high school. And it was probably the worst time of my life. And when I hear the stories and read the stories about these individuals who have found themselves in such desperate situations that they have taken that ultimate step to end their suffering, I can kind of understand it, because there is no world more cruel and more alone than the world of high school. And when you're a kid, you're powerless, right? You're just absolutely powerless. And if you're not getting the support at home or the support from any adults, what do? Right? What do? Well, I hope that people out there who are feeling this realize there are options. I know it's not always easy, but there are definitely options. If anything, the gay world and the lesbian world are extremely organized people. I mean, good Lord. So, I mean, if you have access to the internet, which I know a lot of people do, find your local gay and lesbian organization, contact them, and tell them what you're going through, because I know that these people will find a way to help you. You're not alone. There are lots and lots and lots of us out there who have gone through the same journeys that you are going through right now. I mean, of course, the circumstances are not always the same, and the details vary, but we've all been through hell and back. But you know what? It really does get better. And before I move on, I just want to let everybody know that my tormentor is in this yearbook from 1978, and he is now a policeman. Yeah. So, anyway, it really does get better. I have a really remarkable life now. I am surrounded by so much love and so much creativity and so much spirit that sometimes it's absolutely overwhelming and completely humbling. And you too will find that little part of the world where you belong, that you will own, that will be completely yours. And once you're away from high school, and I know this is a bit of a cliche, but trust me, it vanishes from your memory. I mean, the scars and the pain will always be there, but it becomes meaningless. It becomes of no consequence because you have the whole rest of your life ahead of you. And as corny as it is to quote the Dr. Seuss book, oh, the places you will go. The journeys you have will be remarkable. You will experience love for the first time without fear and without complication and without remorse. And it will be the most overwhelming, wonderful experience of your life. And it's a great journey, and it's a journey that you have to take and that I want you to take. And don't feel that you are alone. Like I said, you are not alone. There are so many of us out there, and I'm just going to add my voice to the great throng that has suddenly come out on the internet to say it gets better, because it does get better, and there's a lot of love out there in the world, and I'm hoping that this little bit of love will find its way to you. Thanks.